G'day everyone. Just wanted to come on here and talk about some of the injury chaos and sort of the plan around it from last night's games. So yeah, we had quite a few injuries. Two of them don't look massively serious. None of them are overly serious, but they definitely have a lot of fantasy implications. So we'll talk about this. All of this is coming from NRL Physio. So that he's probably the most reliable in the industry, and we'll take him as gospel for this video anyway. So yeah, Dylan Lucas, talked about him earlier today. He's got a shoulder injury, out 1 to 3 weeks. He has a chance to play next week, but a big risk of re-aggravation. Apparently it's very similar to Toby Couchman's, and we saw him play the next week and then got re-injured. So yeah, I'd say it's very similar. I'm planning for him to be out just because that makes more sense to me, just to plan around it. Like, you'd rather be pessimistic than optimistic when it comes to injuries, especially in your bye planner for round 12. Nafahu White, potential MCL, out at least 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, his Gornskis for this week, which for round 12, which really puts a dent in your plan. Jacob Saifidi, he's lesser owned, but there is still some people with him. He's got a calf injury. Don't know how long he's out for, but apparently he was making Origin either way. So either way, he's most likely out for round 12. So if you bought him in because you wanted him in round 12, unlucky there. Fletcher Sharp, likely a lower leg cork. He should be fine to play. I made that up, that he should be fine to play, but obviously if it's only a cork, he's fine. And Riley Smith, potential calf cramp, not strain. So he should be fine to play as well. Made that up again with the should be fine to play. But yeah, NRL Physio just had them in his group chat saying like a cork and a cramp. So assuming that's all it is, they should be safe to play. But yeah, it's something to keep in mind. That they might have a niggle. So one of them is a chance to be out. I don't expect them to be out. I'm planning for them to be playing, which is fine. But yeah, it's just something I wanted to quickly raise in this video since we're talking about injuries. So got a bit of advice, of just general advice. It's hard to know or make this team specific because most people have Lucas, but if you have like a White or Saifiti, then yeah, I don't know who has 1, 2, 3 of those guys. It's hard to give that, so I'm just going to give general advice. If you want to comment how many you guys have out and want some advice specific to your team, I can definitely help. It would help if you give me the number of trades you have left and stuff like that. If you got a Couchman, Cleary, and then I can give you some tailored advice. But yeah, for the sake of this video, it's just going to be general advice. So one, just don't panic. Panic trade for players you weren't considering prior to the injury news. So don't just rush in making a trade in this round, like mid-round 11, of players you weren't even considering just to get to 13 for next week. Because we don't know, like Dylan Lucas might be playing next week and you don't want to just get a number in who's actually not fantasy relevant or not going to work with your buy schedule. So yeah, you should have already had a list of players you're potentially looking to bring in over the buy period. So yeah, if it's one of those and you're trading someone who's injured or has a bad buy schedule, then by all means. But yeah, just don't rush to trade in a random player just to get a number for round 13. Like, don't trade for a random edge. That's all for that one. If you're planning to keep Cleary or Couchman, trade one, and ideally Cleary, because he's more of a trade than Couchman, for a keeper who fits your buy schedule in a position you now need. So yeah, let's say you have Dylan Lucas, and now you need a centre or an edge. If you wanted to get a Herbie Farnworth or someone who is a popular player who has a ton of merit playing round 12, round 15, he's going to be an end-of-season keeper, then yeah, by all means, get him for Cleary or Couchman. If you weren't considering doing that, that's fine because he is an end-of-season keeper and he has great buy coverage. So yeah, like a Herbie Farnworth is an example of someone I would make a trade to for someone who's injured or on a buy, like Cleary or Couchman. But yeah, I wouldn't just get any random centre just for the sake of having a number. But yeah, if they're going to be an end-of-season keeper, by all means. 3, prioritise getting to a strong 13 players in round 12 instead of looping. Looping does now hold extra value, but it's harder to achieve, especially if you have a couple of these guys injured. I personally am still going to be looking to loop. I'll get into that in a sec. There's a mind melt of a fucking looping plan. I won't go into it in too much detail, but I'm still planning on looping. And obviously, if you have the opportunity to, I think it holds extra weight now. So by all means, try. But yeah, just getting to 13 is going to be a struggle for some now, especially after this news. So yeah, just look to get to a strong 13 with heaps of guns instead of trying to loop. And 4, White and Saifidi are sells. Lucas is a hold. Yeah, so Lucas could be back next week, and if not, he still plays round 15. He's an end-of-season keeper. I'd be holding on to him for sure, even if he is out for 3 weeks. If he is out for 3, then maybe it's something to consider, but if he's out for 1 to 2, then I'm absolutely fine keeping him, and I'd probably keep him even if he's out 3, because he'd be back for round 15 anyway. And 5, just replan your round 12 trades ahead of time and revisit your buy planner. So yeah, just making sure you have an idea of who you want to trade for next week now as well, so you're not rushing into any decisions. Just speaking on the first point, or the second point even, probably the second point, a lot of people only have made 1 or 2 trades, or even 0 so far, and these numbers do boost during the week because some people have a trade in mind that they haven't activated yet. They're waiting for mid-round results for like loop options and stuff. But yeah, only 4% currently in the top 1,000 have used 3 trades, so that means a lot of people are keeping a Couchman, are keeping a Cleary. You can see the trade outs. Yo is the most popular at 20%. Out of those guys, apart from Marzu, who's obviously injured for the long haul, even though he says he's back next week, which is ridiculous. Only 11% selling Couchman, and he was like 80% owned, and only 3% selling Cleary. So yeah, a lot of you guys will be in that same boat where you do have a Couchman or Cleary to sell out, and yeah, I'd be doing that for sure. And don't worry, you're not alone in this boat. Like 26%-ish have Nafahu White, 90+% have Dylan Lucas. Saifidi only has like 4%. Yeah, obviously a lot of people have a Cleary and Couchman, and they're not that highly traded out. Couchman 11%, and he's owned by like 80%, I think, when this loads. So yeah, a lot of you will have a straight trade you can make for a Couchman or Cleary, and yeah, I'd recommend doing that. Yeah, 70% owned. So yeah, there's certainly some merit to that. I probably wouldn't make a trade if you're trading someone healthy this week, or a number for round 12 at least, like a Tamale or an Iongi. I wouldn't rush to make, not a Iongi, you can't now, but yeah, like a Tamale or someone like that. I wouldn't be rushing to trade this week just to get a replacement, because you always have 3 trades next week where you can sort this out. But this is just if you're considering mid-round advice for sure. So yeah, that's all on that one. I'll quickly maybe not so quickly, go over my looping plan. So I did have a video out of what I planned to do next week, and that was getting Nafahu White, which puts a dent in that plan now. Obviously, the main reason I wanted him was because he's like 100k cheaper than like a McInnes, Max King, AFB options like that, and I only had 23k left over that I could have used, so I wouldn't have been able to afford that. So yeah, White was a really nice price point for me. Munster's in yellow because he could be traded to either Herbie or Fogarty. There's so many different ways I can do it, which I'll show you. But yeah, so I can no longer get White, which is revisiting my point where I said just replan your trades for next week. So obviously Nafahu White was part of my buy planning, and I can't do that anymore. So yeah, that changes thing. And obviously Lucas, I have Lucas already, so I have to plan around him now. So yeah, instead of Horsburgh White, I have changed a few things, and it also meant I had to retwink Kiraz trade, which is a bit annoying as well. But some updated trades. Instead of Nafahu White, I'm looking at Jack Williams. Not in love with him, but I wasn't in love with Nafahu White. I do have excess trades where I can take a risk on one of these guys, and I think he'll probably score like 10 less than like a Max King, AFB, stuff like that, worst case. And I'm really after his mid and edge duel now as well. So I didn't need an edge coming into this, but now with Dylan Lucas out, giving an edge gives me a lot of flexibility for looping. Tamale to Herbie, so that's pretty much the same. I've just switched around who I'm going to be trading. And this isn't set in stone, it's just there's still a lot of footy to go this round, so things will change quickly. That was just after the first night. So yeah, and then Munster to Tedesco is my third trade. So that's Tedesco instead of Kiraz. Kiraz plays in the first game, so it doesn't give me as much looping opportunity because I might have to move Sharp up. So yeah, a lot of moving parts, but I'll have easily enough to afford this. And yeah, I might not even be trading Munster to Tedesco. I could trade Munster to an AFB, McInnes, something like that if I need, because they play a bit later as well. So yeah, so many moving parts. I can still loop Iongi and Tedesco. Obviously, I want to be playing Tedesco, but Iongi plays first, which he played after Kirez, which helps. So now, Iongi will play first, and then based on his score is whether I technically loop Tedesco, but it's whether I actually bring in Tedesco or not. So if Iongi scores a 20, then I need to bring in Tedesco. If he scores a 50, then I don't need Tedesco. So that third trade is why it will be after the Eels game. That's totally fine. Kartonga and Toya, I can loop Kartonga technically at centre or edge based on having Jack Williams as dual. So that's why I need Jack Williams as opposed to a Max King or someone. And I can loop Max King at mid or edge as well because he is that dual. So I just have non-playing reserves in there, and I'll get into my looping options. But even though Kartonga, Jack Williams and Iongi play at the same time, which makes it a little bit harder to loop. Obviously, they're in the same team. I should be able to work around it for about 5 out of 7 scenarios work in my favour, which is good. Most of them mean I do have to play Savala. I'm not too concerned. I think he should score around a 35-40. I'm not concerned with his 27 last night. The 5 missed tackles won't continue, ideally. One of them I can still trade to Fogarty, but a lot of my options now won't be getting a half in. They'll be getting a mid or a winger fullback. So mid or Tedesco, pretty much. So not going to go over these in detail because it's ridiculous to say out loud. It's ridiculous to type. I don't even know if everything's super accurate. There's probably a few more scenarios I have to go over. But pretty much the ideal scenario would be, where is it? Which is the ideal? Well, I guess if all of them score 50, that's the most ideal. So I can just leave everything where it is. Then Jack Williams will score at mid. Kartonga would score at edge. Iongi at winger fullback. I would have to play Robert Toya, so I don't necessarily get the option to loop him. Or I could trade Munster to AFB and McInnes, so then I get their score over a Toya. But then I'd have to take Savala's score. So I'm pretty much in the ideal scenario, I'm going to have to play one as Savala or Toya. But if I play Toya, I can wait and see on Savala's score and then potentially get a Fogarty instead for a Munster. So a lot of moving parts. That's literally just one scenario, and there's like 4 different alternatives still. It's very chaotic. Feel free to take a screenshot. I don't see why you would, because this is necessary to my team. But I just kind of wanted to show you this just to show you how much planning goes into even just looping mid-round in a bye round. So, there's so much you can do. It's such a puzzle. It's such a jigsaw. You're never going to get it 100% right, but there's so many different paths you can take, and this just shows how viable looping still is in round 12. It's just a lot harder to achieve. I'm still planning on getting to 17. How many is that? Not 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. 15, I think, by the looks, players for next week. That fully depends on if Lucas is playing, if Horsburgh is playing Origin and stuff like that. So, bit chaotic, a lot too much going on to talk about. I'll probably have a video during the week about what my team plan is. So if you have similar teams, you can always do the same. But that's all. Just wanted to jump on and talk about that injury news. I'll quickly talk about ideal past scores this week. Obviously, I've had 4 players for 169, so slightly above par. Score's going to be well down, 6 players averaging 40, same as 7, same as 8. So don't be concerned. Hopefully you didn't have too many players last night. I've got heaps of guns to play, so I think I'm in a pretty good spot to move up the ranks this week. I only had 4 out of those games last night. I left these guys on my bench. A lot of managers would have had 7 or 8 players last night, and no one really did well. So don't be concerned. There's heaps of guys who have played 7 or 8 already, so don't be stressed. We'll look at the popular trade-ins while we're here. Zach Hosking at 20%. No surprises there. Herbie, second most popular. That's a little bit surprising given he doesn't play round 18, but he got heaps of merit. I wanted to do it myself as well. And then Jaden Campbell, third. That's surprising. Only 7.7%, but considering he doesn't play round 12, these guys must have their teams stacked. Marzu, Yo, Couchman, Nicholson, popular trade outs. I'm surprised Nicholson isn't a bit higher, to be honest. I thought Hosking would be higher as well. But yeah, that's about it. Don't panic if you got these guys injured. Dylan Lucas is annoying, but it is what it is. Like, everyone's in the same boat, so don't stress. Yeah, just try and follow this advice or your own tailored advice. Just get a plan going, and yeah, should be right. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video.